So that's the famous Go Kart that we made 15 years ago. It still runs. Gave it to my friend Josh, and his two sons have been running around the yard with it. And I hope to do an update soon. This is just a teaser. I'd like to get together with them, but as we all know, it's going to be a while before I can get together with anybody. So this is my situation. I have these file cabinets, regular file cabinet that I use for tools. This works great, by the way. Just you want to make sure that if you do this, get the better file cabinets that have the slides, the ball bearing slides. But this is great for big power tools. But I have this cabinet, which is a card file cabinet. I think it was used in a library type situation with 3x5 cards back in the olden days. But the problem with this one is I have my nails. I have nails for pneumatic, all my air nailers and air staplers, and it's a mess. It takes me minutes to realize I don't have the nail that I need. Instead, it should only take me seconds. So I'm gonna see if I can do something about this. So I have a bunch of different nails that go into my nail guns, and I also have staples. Nails I have are 16 gauge, 18 gauge, and my new favorite, which is the 23 gauge pin nails. Now those are the copper-ish colored nails that you see there. And they're pin nails. They're so fine, they're like putting tiny pins in. And they really don't hold well, but they hold well enough so that they keep the two pieces of wood or whatever else you're holding together until the glue dries. And they're so tiny that you can nail together things that you wouldn't try with a 16 or an 18 gauge nail. And if you have a piece of wood that's super thin, an 18 gauge would probably split it. Everything is thrown into a box, and these nice long sticks of nails that I could easily put into a gun have now turned into tiny little pieces, broken pieces at the bottom of the box. And that's not good. I spend all this time hunting around, trying to find the right length, trying to see if I have enough for a job, and it's a waste of time. So 16 gauge, 18 gauge, and now I'm picking up the staples. I have 1/4 inch crown staples, and also I have the standard T50, I believe they're called, staples, the ones that everybody gets when you're starting out in arts and crafts projects. The T50 in different lengths. And I'm just throwing away some that are tiny, just literally deciding not to keep them at all. So I'm going to try something. I've got my table saw going, and I'm using push sticks that I painted red. And I painted them red so that I can find them in the shop. So I went ahead and cut some slots in a piece of scrap oak, various widths. My idea is that these nails should be upright. And I don't know how well this is going to work, but it's a theory that I have. And I think if the nails are upright in slots of various widths, then I'll be able to tell right away what they are. Let's see, if I put 2 in here, if I put 1 in there, and then they get shorter as they go forward. Something like this. I like this because when I'm working, I can just go, yeah, they're the long ones. Here are the short ones. And the question is, how big should each slot be so that I can store everything? But I think this is a cool way to go. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to get on the table saw, and I'm going to start cutting things up. I'm going to put slots in. I'm going to use 1/8 inch slots, which is the width of the blade, one slot. I'm going to space those slots 1/8 of an inch apart, and I've discovered that my table saw works much better than I thought it would before. I've been using this saw for 30 years and finally read the manual and discovered things about it that make it work much better than I ever thought it could. So what I'm doing is putting individual slots in. I'm using my red push sticks. I'm very afraid of this saw, and I always have been. I never like to have my hands push past the blade or near the blade. So here are the 3 pieces that I made. I decided the thing to do would be to have a lot of slots and even keep the nails separate rather than bunching them up into multiple grooves. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it's worth a try. So these slots are working well, and I'm putting one load of nails in each slot. And I think it's working really quite well. The problem is that the ones that are broken into little pieces, little groups of 6 or 8 nails, for example, fall over when they're tall. But this system, what I'm hoping is that this system is going to keep the sticks of nails from breaking into tiny pieces at the bottom of the box. It should keep that from happening. And if it does, that'll have been worth it, because those tiny little pieces of nails, they almost become worthless. What I've discovered is that my staples don't work well in this slot system. I'm going to have to make boxes, small boxes on the table saw to hold all the different staples. And I'm just cutting up some oak that I got from Creveling Sawmill in New Jersey. And this is just rough sawn oak. Hasn't been planed or anything. And I'm using the saw. I'm going to make wooden boxes to do that. And now you'll see me cut thin sides. Once again, always using the push sticks. There's just no way that I want to move my fingers past those. And as I say, I made a discovery about this saw. I decided to download the manual, found the manual online, decided to download it, and discovered that if I use the fence, if I set the saw up correctly and use the fence the way it says in the manual, it's a really good fence system. Now here I'm gluing the sides on where the boxes will be, and I'm using that 23 gauge pin nailer, which is my new favorite nailer. And it isn't strong, but it does hold the wood together until the glue dries, and then you have real strength. And I'm using this technique. I think I've been using it for a long time, but I certainly rediscovered it when I watched the rest of videos. And what he does is he'll just put a piece of wood together and then not measure the piece, but actually let the piece overhang the wood and cut it off after it's been assembled. And this way you get a very precise fit. You'll see me do that here in a minute using tight bond. Try to put things together assembly line fashion, which I think works well. And I'm making up more boxes than I need. Putting sides on those slot blocks, the blocks with the slots in them, because I've discovered that the nails slide right out onto the floor if you don't have these sides on them. And here I am trimming the ends. I haven't tried to make these side pieces very precise. I just let them overhang and I trim them later after the glue dries. You could do this maybe an hour or two after you've applied the glue, but I like to let it dry for 4 hours, maybe 6 hours. And what I'm doing now is sanding. I've got this, I think it's a 2 by 72 inch belt sander, and just taking the corners, the rough edges off. I probably don't need to do this at all, but it's very pleasurable to make your piece smooth and even. And so I'm doing it to all the boxes. These are boxes that have to hold the staples because, as I said, the staples do not like the slots. The slots don't seem to be the way to go with the staples. Now here I'm using just a piece of sandpaper to sand the inside edge of the box. They're still sharp. I wasn't able to get at them with the sander, the belt sander, because they're on the inside of the box, inside edge. I'm organizing everything, and now I've cut a piece of plywood to hold everything, and I'm going to put a handle in the middle. But first, it looks like I'm going to put sides. Yes, I'm once again putting sides on. I'm putting sides on the holder. It's like I put the sides on the boxes. Here I'm making the handle. I have a piece of 1 inch thick oak, and I'm going to drill a slot in it for a hand grip, and I'm doing the ends with a Forstner bit. And then I'm going to use this tool that I didn't think I would really need or use. I thought this was sort of these saber saws, or scroll saws actually, they almost seem like not a real woodworking tool, but I'm beginning to like them more and more, especially for an inside cut like this where you can put the blade through the hole. Normally I would have done this with a handheld jigsaw and it never would have come out this nice. But this blade cuts very straight and it leaves a really smooth finish. Now I'm routing. I have a router that I use to route corners off, and I leave a roundover bit in that. It's a laminate trimmer, and I leave a roundover bit in that laminate trimmer at all times because I'm always rounding things off. This will be my handle. Drilling holes to hold the screws, and using a paper template, tracing, rubbing the top of the handle and using that to transfer the position of the holes to the base. I probably should have just drilled holes in the base and then transferred those through first, but I didn't do it. Instead, I did the paper template routine. I'm screwing those together from the bottom, and they lined up because I used the paper template to transfer the holes from the handle to the base. Finally putting the sides on. The carrier. And you see the overhang is huge. And I'll trim those off, the bandsaw. And get ready to put the other ends on as well. So that worked out really well. I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. The handle is not quite in the middle, but it's located centrally enough so that the thing is balanced. I feel like it's sturdy enough. I can always take it to wherever I need to go, wherever the project is. And the other thing I did was I found the boxes that these came in, and I'm able to, when I need to go to the store and buy them, I don't have to wonder, gee, do I have 18 gauge? Do I need, what brand is good to buy? These happen to be Porter Cable. I'll keep those with each of these. Oh, and I put this drywall screw into each one to make it easier to pick these up. These are easy to pick up this way, but this is kind of hard to grab. This one is especially hard to grab, but I can do that. So that worked out pretty well. And I should do more of this, especially now that I have time to organize. So that's it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.